You've had the benefit of a front row seat to major changes in the business. And you've also had a major impact on the professionalization of the U.S. real estate business over the last 40 years. The three main forces, which we talk about in the chapter, that have changed the business revolve around control and consolidation of capital and just basic profit fundamentals. What forces do you foresee compelling change in the next 40 years in the business?
I hope, first of all, I'm around to see if I'm right in what I answer, because I would be 107 at that point, right? So that would be great. I think the changes will be less technological than people think. Yes, there'll be more efficient elevators, and yes, there'll be more efficient heating systems, and yes, there'll be better communication systems. But at the end of the day, the real estate business is about providing places to live, work, play, shop. So yes, technology will affect it, but not as much as people think. Even in the area of retail, I don't think it's going to change it as much as people think. What I do think will happen is the role of institutional capital will continue to grow. It's happened, as you know, outside of real estate with a lead, right? It happened earlier outside of real estate. And so, for example, I'll give you the one that's dramatic that I think we've not yet seen the impacts, and I think the next 20 years it's going to play out dramatically. You're going to get more institutional capital in the form of 401ks that are not controlled by the company, but are controlled by you individually. As opposed to the old time, I'm a teacher and the state pension fund controls it, or I work for IBM and IBM has a pension fund for me. You control it. Now we know that those have grown. And we know the way employers do them is they'll say, gee, you get Vanguard, and here's your choice, dear employee, of 12 Vanguard funds from the Vanguard family. You're not going to see, I don't think, something that says, and by the way, you can do a deal. Right? You're not going to go and be a direct investor in an office building, which the old-time pension funds continue to do. And you know how Vanguard and BlackRock with the passive funds have become the main choice of 401ks across the board. And that's only going to increase, I think. And how does real estate get its capital allocation, if you will, in a world where increasingly money says, I want passive and I want it on the stock exchange? And I think that is just barely being dealt with, because you got to figure out how to get in front of that money, which has been the real estate industry's great skill historically, is how do I dress myself up to get in front of the money, because I need a lot of money for the product. We've not dressed up very well as an industry yet for Vanguard, BlackRock, passive funds. And those funds, I just believe, are going to continue to grow as a proportion, both in absolute sense and a proportion of all money. And if we want our fair share, we've got to figure out how to dress up to get on that selection list. And in many cases, a REIT fund isn't even on that selection list for employees, much less direct investing in some form. That, I'm not sure how it plays out, but that to me is follow the money. That'll be dramatically changed. And whoever figures out that puzzle of how do I get myself in front of all that 401k money going passively, can I create a passive, active portfolio in a way, right? I don't know the answer, but that's the spirit.